Welcome to Message Vibrations Podcast, sharing across the globe and creating a community of people who love truth, honesty, justice, loveliness, and anything of good report. Now introducing your host, Teresa Howard, proclaiming the good news.
Hey everybody, how's everybody doing today? I'm super excited. I have brought a friend of mine in to do a podcast, and I'm really excited about having her on the podcast today. And what we're going to be talking about is several different things. It's kind of the season that we're in. You know, we've been dealing with COVID-19, and I've shared a little bit about that, but I've also shared some miraculous healings that I've had that weren't actually recently, but I also shared a recent encounter with an angel that happened last year. And today we're just going to have a conversation with each other. We are friends, and I am very honored to introduce my friend Marcie Lowe on the podcast of Message Vibrations today. I really am. I'm super excited about Marcy.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to have you.
I'm glad to be here.
I know you are. I really wanted to get with you because I know that you had spent some time over the last year where you really separated yourself work, and you took time out to spend a lot of time with Jesus and attendance with a school, and you had a special season with Jesus. Is there anything from that's last, I think has it been 10 months or has it been a year?
It's been a year now. I laid down the job and felt like the Lord had told me to set a year aside for Him, so that I could refresh my relationship with Him. Yeah, went down to Central Florida to a Bible school. Just finished Mother's Day, so I'm back home now.
Well, I was thinking about you and being away for a while, and I know when I got back with you and we were able to even just have some fellowship together and be with each other, I could tell that you were really saturated with the presence of God. Not that you weren't before, but I noticed a distinct signature or mark on you that sets you apart. It's just exactly like what you did. You went down there, you separated yourself, and I am here to tell you I witnessed a really strong and powerful difference in your life. So can you tell us a little bit about what you encountered with Jesus while you were down there, and just maybe some of the things, if you want to share anything that you did while you were there?
First, I just want to say, the reason why I went to a school was because I felt like I wasn't disciplined enough to just give Him all my time. I mean, I love the outdoors. I like to bike ride. I like to kayak. Went down to Central Florida. It's warm there.
Beautiful.
So it's like,
yeah.
I got all this time that I could just like relax and stuff. But I knew if I wasn't in a place of discipline, that I would probably spend my time kayaking and bike riding and sightseeing and stuff. So I felt like I should enroll in the school, and it was very disciplined for me. I'd get up at 4:30 in the morning, and I would get in the Word for a couple of hours in the morning. I was like an hour away from the school, so I would speak in tongues all the way to the school.
Yeah.
Then I got there. We would worship for 2 hours, and by the time any of the teaching started, I was already just so primed for the whole thing, And then have the whole day at school, an hour ride home, and that was usually in silence because trying to kind of process everything that happened throughout the day. And then I'd go home and I'd start reading a book that I'd have, we had to do a book report every month. So I would start reading my book. I'd go back into, some Jesus time, some secret place time, and then go to bed. And that's how my days went.
When you say secret place time, can you kind of just expound on that just a little bit? I mean, is it just time in the quiet, or?
So I guess it looks a lot of different ways for a lot of different people. For me, sometimes it was just reading the Word. When we get into the Word and we start looking for treasures and stuff, sometimes God will stop you at a stoplight and say, "Wait, back up! I just showed you something." And So you delve into that word. I know we've talked about this before.
Right.
Yeah. So sometimes the secret place looked like that. Sometimes it was just soaking music,
Mm-hmm.
and I would just be still
Mm-hmm.
and sit at the feet of Jesus and just wait for him to show up.
Mm-hmm.
I remember there was quite a few speakers that would come and tell us their definition of a secret place. So I don't want to do that,
Right.
because everybody's got their own way. But I even know that time where I got kind of, I guess, frustrated, and he reminded me that when I witnessed to people on the street and they would talk, I would be telling them about how great God was.
Mm-hmm.
And now he said, what do you tell other people? And I mean, he highlighted for me, all we ever have to do is reach our hand up in the air, and he's right there to grab onto it.
Wow.
And so, he was showing me that, and I could feel him right now.
I can't
But
do.
yeah, it's so good.
That's awesome.
But so he was like, all you have to do is what you said. And so I literally put my hand up in the air, and he grabbed it. And I mean, he was right there, right. I mean, it was just immediate. He was right there with me. Like I said, everybody's manner of getting alone with them is different. Some people do it on the water. I mean, there were days that I would get up, I'd ride my bike to the water, watch the sun come up, and just spend it with him. But I think he's just so excited that we want to spend time with him.
Absolutely.
He shows up. He just always shows up.
Right.
No matter what your format is. I don't think it's got to be an outline.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Were you able to make some deep friendships? I mean, that might be an understatement. Were you able to make some good friendships with people there?
Yeah, that was the hard part. Everything comes to an end. Yeah, I was probably one of the oldest people at the school. I'm 58 years old. Not a lot of people decide to go to Bible school at 58. So I definitely fell into the slot of mother for a lot of those kids. And I had a tribe of women that were mature, that we got very, very close. But yeah, I miss them all.
You made some lifelong friendships.
Absolutely.
And,
Absolutely.
Well, you said that it was over on Mother's Day.
Well, so there was no graduation because of the COVID thing.
Okay.
The ending was very abrupt. There actually was not an actual graduation.
What do you think that are some things that God is going to do for you in this next season? I know there's some things that you're kind of on hold about. We discussed that. But what are some things that you think you're going to be looking forward to in this new season?
T, just him. Whatever
Perfect
it is he's
answer.
got for me.
Right.
I think that was one of the best gifts that he gave me. There's absolutely no expectancy. I just expect him. I don't have any agenda.
I love it.
We talked about this. I mean, you could smell my flesh burn, right? Because I haven't worked in a year, and I thought I was going to go straight back into the workplace. Then the COVID thing.
Right.
I actually was offered a job that was supposed to be in Texas. I felt the Lord so strong tell me, no, you need to go back home to Pensacola.
Mm-hmm.
And the uniqueness of the way that he talks to each one of us, came through so powerfully that I knew without a doubt that I wasn't supposed to take the job. Whatever he's got for me, I know that he's there. I know he's got a plan, and I know his plan's way better than mine. I did learn that I'm done being in his permissible will, and I want to be in his perfect will.
Can you explain a little bit about that?
Because we have free will, he lets us choose things. He's not going to stop us on, I've been married, didn't work out real well. But he permitted it, but it wasn't his perfect will. Had it been his perfect will, it probably would have worked out. He'll permit things because we have free will.
Right.
Because his perfect will is the perfect thing at the perfect time for the perfect reason.
Marcy, I love that.
It's perfect.
It is. It is. That's awesome. Yeah. We had the privilege to meet in New York when we were fixing to go on a trip that would ultimately change our lives.
Absolutely.
Can we reminisce a little bit and go right back to where we first met and where we experienced Israel, the people, the nation, the land, the river? Can we talk a little bit about that? There's been signature marks in your life where God has done something really special for you, and I know without a shadow of a doubt that trip to Israel, it's a life changer. And I was with you to experience it, and it was fun. And some of the things that come to mind right away is that baptism.
Oh yeah, and the Jordan, the baptism in the Jordan. That was
Let's
amazing.
talk about it. Yeah.
Well, the whole trip was incredible. The way that we met was incredible at JFK Airport, and we were fast friends. It was
Fast and Furious.
Yeah, definitely a divine appointment.
It was.
And just like with the Bible school that I went to, the worst part of it was leaving.
Oh yeah,
because we made such friends, and it was such an intimate group that we went with, and I mean everybody on our bus was just. I mean, I know you remember. I mean, we made so many.
We did.
Great friendships.
And we still see them.
Yeah, and we still speak to them.
Right.
Yeah. Israel was just definitely a life changer for all of us. Can't wait to go back. Everybody go to Israel.
Right? It's not scary like they suggest.
No, that was funny. That's funny that you would bring that up. I would have never expected it to be like it was by what the media portrayed, the difference. I mean, I think one of our friends had said, well, I mean, look around. Maybe it was even you. Somebody had said, look around, I mean, how would we not feel safe? We literally had soldiers all the way around us. I mean, everybody in Israel is trained to be a soldier, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I never felt safer. I felt I had gone to New York City to spend a couple of weeks prior to going to Israel, and I definitely felt
a little uneasy.
I definitely felt safer in Israel than I did in New York, for sure.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Just that 10-hour flight that we stepped off that plane
that
into
flight
Tel
was
Aviv.
Something.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, right after
we're surgical socks.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. I know right when we got off of the plane, though, and we came under that emblem where it welcomes you to Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like, we're here now. We've been invited to the hometown of Jesus. And I know I shared on one of my earlier episodes that I felt very strongly that Jesus invited me to his hometown. And then I talked about some really neat things that happened while I was there. Is there something that comes to mind that you experienced while you was there? That, I mean, I know that there were several things. We had services, had the baptism. Is there something that's coming to your mind, like right now, that just was really something that you felt, would change your life forever being? Or was it just a trip in general and then, experiencing people?
So many things. First thing that jumps out at me is the garden. When I went to the garden, because I had previous encounter with Jesus at home where I asked him to make it real for me, and he took me off in a vision about the garden. Then I just knew that was going to be special. I think you remember me talking about that. And then we were told we probably wouldn't be able to get in.
Yeah, I remember that. Yes.
And everybody was like, "Oh, Marcy, it'll be all right," because that was like,
that was one of your highlights.
Yeah, I could not wait to go to the garden. And they were like, "Yeah, I don't think that they don't really get in. You get to see it from the gate."
Nobody had the key, and then they got the key.
She got the key and said, "You're not going to believe this. We're allowed in." And we had how much time did we have in there? It seemed like forever. I think it was like 20 or 40 minutes.
I think you're right. Yeah, that was it. It wasn't an hour. I don't think it was a full hour. I mean, I know, wasn't Ron speaking just a tad? I mean, he actually shared a little bit, but I think it was about 20 to 40 minutes. We had to be in there and out of there. I think people were behind.
I think you're right. I think they spoke. Our guide spoke for like 20 minutes, and then they let us just wander. In that wandering, man, I just felt like I went into another realm when we walked through that gate. This was like surreal to me. But all of Israel was.
It was, wasn't it?
But, yeah, he took me back into that same vision, and he said, I promised you then, and the promise hasn't changed.
That's so encouraging.
Yeah, so he took me right back into the same vision. I was bawling, and it was paramount, definitely.
I remember when we were all in our white gowns.
Yeah.
And we were standing in that ice cold, frigid water.
Cold.
Wasn't it just cold? And then who was it that said, hey, the catfish, they bite. I was like, come on, really? We're fixing to get baptized.
At least it wasn't Florida with gators. Right?
Oh, right. I mean, yeah, that was one thing that was really special to me, is coming up out of that water and really feeling that difference. One of the episodes that I had, I even referred to it as just feeling like a pair of floating eyeballs in the body. You know what I mean? Full of the Spirit. It was a good time. The food was good. We made great friends.
The gelato was great.
Wasn't it awesome? We really couldn't get enough of that.
Every day it was just about, where's the gelato? We have to have gelato.
Yeah, it was awesome. And when we would go in the evenings to, I want to call them the walk plots, but they're not. I don't believe that they're really called that. But where the mall, we walked.
So cool.
Yeah, that was really fun. Catching the taxi and experiencing the taxi cab drivers and what they had to say to us. I mean, this is really something that we will forever hold in our hearts. And I mean, it is something that it's not a gnawing, it's a gentle whisper that just wants you to return.
It's the Bible come to life.
It is.
I mean, it really
is.
Oh,
that's great.
It's like, it's to walk the streets that he walked. I remember, I don't know if you remember, but I couldn't even put my shoes on. It was like as fast as I put them on, I took them off. I kept hearing, take off your shoes.
Well, that's right. You were one of them.
Yeah.
That you walked around like the town barefoot. Yeah, because you were on holy ground.
Yeah, I just felt like everywhere that we walked was so holy.
And it was.
And it was. It was surreal.
It was. You remember when we came to that, you might remember the town where that water was trickling out, and it's where Elizabeth, the mother of John the Baptist, when she was pregnant with him, and the baby leaped in her womb, and we went to that well, and the water was just like trickling, and how excited the baby leaped.
We had a Holy Spirit moment there.
We did.
Sure. Yeah.
We did.
That was
we
so
did.
good.
And then there was the military side of Israel. Oh, we got to talk about the Sea of Galilee too. But remember when we went up into the mountains of Golan Heights?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Remember when we went to the Golden Heights? Golan, not golden. Golan Heights?
Well, they're golden too.
Yeah, they are golden too, right?
They were golden though.
But one thing that surprised me is that there is so much. Israel has so many different. There's so many different types of land there. I mean, there's the mountains, there's the sea, there's the salt.
And it's so fruitful too.
You
remember?
Yes.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I couldn't believe that. I mean, you're in the United States. I mean, the United States is very fruitful, but I mean, you have to go down to Florida for oranges. You have to go up to Ohio for apples. You have to go down to the Keys for bananas. I mean, really,
Israel had it all.
The fact that you went to Israel, this little tiny, what they say, it's the size of the state of New Jersey, I think.
Yeah.
And it had every fruit imaginable. I mean, there were pineapples, there were watermelons, there were cherries, grapes, bananas. I mean, you name it. Citrus. I mean, it was everything right there. And it's like, oh, Lord.
It was available to us. And it seemed, I know this might be...
I mean, that's almost insane, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how could you have all those fruits in that little tiny geographic area?
It was wonderful. And we got to eat a lot of colors.
We ate a lot.
A lot of colors. It was very colorful. And I love the
hummus. Oh.
Yeah, it was awesome. A very, very Mediterranean diet, which was just really good for us. I remember us all craving bacon.
Yeah. We don't eat bacon.
I know, but we
No, I'm kidding.
I know when I got back, I took the whole pack of the bacon. But it was a good time.
Kosher was, something to get used to for sure.
Another thing that we did when we first got there was get on that boat and go out into the Sea of Galilee. And they did praise and worship. The water was calm. and they just we just floated out there and just.
It was so peaceful.
It was just like he said in the storm.
It was so peaceful.
It was, wasn't it?
It was so good. And one of the things that I really strongly remember there is we had a mutual friend from New Zealand that came up to me. And
oh, yeah.
So prophetic. This woman was so prophetic, and she hadn't really talked to me at all. I think you guys were friends before you went.
Well, yeah, we met in Israel, and she, all the way from New Zealand. She flew all the way. Yeah, I might get her on the podcast.
Yeah, you should.
It would be awesome.
Yeah, she was just so prophetic, and I didn't. I kind of stand off from people usually. I didn't do that with you, but I usually stand off a little bit and kind of. Size them up,
Check them out.
Yeah. But she walked up to me on that boat and just started reading my mail. I mean, calling my daughter's names and yeah, it was just
amazing.
It was just, it was like the giftings just flowed there, right? Mm-hmm. It was like there were no boundaries. Mm-hmm. I even remember one night all of us walking out onto the patio and speaking over one another, and it was just so free.
Now, that was a good night.
Yeah, that was a really good night. It was just so free. We had people from the New England states. Mm-hmm. We had you from Oklahoma, mm-hmm. me from Pensacola. Mm-hmm. We had a friend from New Zealand. Yeah, and we're just all just immediate friends, mm-hmm. and just flowing in the Holy Spirit. It was just amazing.
It was amazing. It was amazing. And some of those special times, even like when we went to where they say that the Lord was buried in the tomb.
Oh, that was a good point there. That was a really good.
Yeah, we took communion. Walking in there, I still, of course, I have a picture of that actually on my Facebook right now. He is not here.
Yeah, because I remember, I don't know if you remember that whole scenario, but you walked in after our friend from New Zealand, I think, mm-hmm. and then I went in last. Mm-hmm. And we were walking around in there, which, not a lot of room, and you single file in, and you could only fit so many people in there. But I remember looking at you guys and saying, do you feel anything? Because it was like, you could feel the Holy Spirit everywhere we were going, but we walked in there, and I couldn't feel anything.
Because he wasn't
there. Yeah, he wasn't there. I was like, do you guys feel anything? And you were like, both you guys were like, no.
Just like kind of a cold, kind of caved out little cave.
And we turned around, and there's this sign as we're walking out. It says, he has risen. He's not here.
Yes.
And we were like, oh, no kidding. Right?
Yes.
But I remember it was like, just I don't even know how to put it, but it was like to know his presence and the absence of his presence was even huge.
Yeah. Oh, the absence of
you know what I mean? The absence of his presence was so phenomenal that you knew his presence because, I don't even know how to voice that. But
I do.
It was insane.
That right there makes me want to actually shift, and for anybody that would not know Jesus Christ, what would you tell them today? This is something that I feel that you are so gifted for. I have seen you talk to people in the streets, and it's not about religion. It's not even a whole bunch of religious jargon. It's not even about that. It's just like, hey, what's going on in your life today? I saw you sit down on cement and get as low as you could possibly get with that guy on the streets. That one time he was a young guy, remember?
That was in Oklahoma.
It was in Oklahoma, and he was down and out. And so I know that,
and you went and bought him dinner.
Well,
yeah,
right. Jesus did. He did some nice things for that guy. But these are one of the things that, and my perception of you, that I feel that you're very gifted in. And so we think about, we're just having a conversation. We are having a conversation because we talk all the time.
Yeah.
But if there was somebody out there right now, we're in COVID-19. We've got restrictions in some states. Some have been lifted. The economy's trying to kind of wake up a little bit, and so are people. You have people that are terrified of this, people wearing masks, people not wearing masks. Marcy, can you share a little bit about maybe if there's somebody out there and they've got kids, and what would you like to say? Take your liberty.
With this COVID thing, I think it was just such a huge wake-up call for so many people. I mean, we are so blessed.
We are.
Because we are so full of faith.
Yes.
There is nothing that we fear.
Mm-hmm.
For people that don't know him, I mean, it's so sad. I say there's nothing that we don't fear, but we fear our loved ones not knowing him. For people that don't know him, you go out into the streets, you go out into the Walmart, you go out into all the essential places, and you could just feel the fear of people. Mm-hmm. They're afraid. I mean, if you sneeze, for crying out loud, they don't think that it could have possibly got dust up your nose. You know what I mean? It's automatically, we're all going to die.
Or allergies.
It's so sad that people would walk in that kind of fear when they didn't have to.
Mm-hmm. What would you tell somebody? Okay, just like us at the restaurant the other day, I know what you're saying. There's a lot of people that they're
crippled by fear.
Yeah, exactly.
They're crippled by fear, and it's just like as much as black and white. I mean, there's a good side, there's a bad side, there's a fear side, there's a faith side. Mm-hmm. For every good there's an evil. For every evil there's a good.
Right.
My thing is, why would you want to embrace something like fear when you can walk in joy, peace, love, faith, gentleness, goodness, kindness, mercy? I mean, to know him,
just like you were,
is to know peace.
It is.
I mean, I have no fear of COVID. Mm-hmm. Does that? I know a lot of people out there would say, "Oh, that's ignorance." No, it's not ignorance. I mean, I'm just not afraid. Mm-hmm. I don't walk in fear. Do I know it's there? Do I know it's people are getting it? Absolutely, I do know that. But I don't walk in fear. I'm not afraid to go out my front door. I'm not afraid to help somebody. If somebody was falling, I'm going to grab them. I don't know if I'm answering exactly what you want me to answer.
Oh, no, absolutely. Oh, no.
He's just so real. His presence is so real.
Yeah.
And there's so much freedom in it. And I can't imagine that anybody that is so crippled by fear of any kind, fear of losing a loved one, fear of being sick, fear of failing, fear of any kind of fear that you could pull out, we know the answer.
We do.
We know the answer. I mean, it's so great to not, we don't fear for anything because we know he's got us. It's not a fad. I mean, I've been walking this walk. I was born and raised Catholic. I read the book, and then I got to know him at Brownsville through the Brownsville revival. I've been walking this walk for a lot of years. The more I delve into that book, the more real it becomes. If that's even possible. I mean, daily, I would tell you, I know how real it is, and then the next day, if there was a way to measure it, it grows every day. You know that.
Right, it does.
I mean, it grows every day. There's not a reason on this planet that I could think that you wouldn't embrace him.
Well, I am sure of it. I had seen on the podcast that listeners as far away as Norway. I do not know, nor would I even want to speculate, what people are going through when they just randomly pick a podcast. They start listening.
They're searching.
But that being said, right now, if you could lead someone to Christ, what would you say? How did you get from point A to B? I know how you are, and I know where you are now because you've just shared that with us. But prior to all of that, it was a hard walk. What happened in your life to make you come to the realization you didn't have that peace that you're sharing with us today?
Oh, I used to tell my girls all the time, there's two ways to come to Christ. You can just run to him, or you can let him pull the rug out from under you. That's what happened to me. I mean, the rug got pulled out from under me. I didn't feel I had any, when that happens, you end up flat on your back. You got nowhere to look but up. That was what happened to me in my walk. I knew of Jesus. I didn't know him in a personal relationship. Honestly, I got to the end of my rope. I knew I couldn't do it by myself. I finally knew that it was out of my control. I without going into a whole other podcast. I just asked him to show me if he was right. Just show me. If you really are there, if you really do love me, if you really do care, show me. And he did. And he did every day for 3 months. Every time I opened up that book, he showed me that he was real. He was watching what was going on in my life. I know it sounds crazy, but literally for 3 months, I would open up that book, the Bible,
Right.
and I'd put my finger down and I was reading my story in those words. And that's all I did. So that is probably what I would say to your listeners. I would say, if you doubt, if there's any doubt at all in your mind,
Right.
ask him to prove that he is who he says he is. And he will.
Right.
Just-
He will. We know it.
Yeah,
We know
he
he will.
absolutely will. He will
Yeah.
never. It says, if you ask, you'll receive.
Yeah.
If you seek, you'll find. If you knock, the door will be open. So,
Right.
I mean, what do you got to lose? Hey, if you're laying there with,
Right.
on your back, the only way you're looking is up, you might as well just ask him. So that's what I would do. I would say, Lord Jesus,
Yeah.
if you truly are who you say you are, if you truly came down from heaven to die for my sins, show me, Lord. Show me. Reveal yourself to me. Come into my heart. I need your help. Ask him and he'll come. I mean, he loves us. It's just like the worst father in the world. When your kid calls, you're right there.
Right.
The worst mother in the world. I mean, and that's all it is. He's just a father just right there waiting for us to call him.
It's true. It's true. And both of us can look back at our past, and we've had some hardships, come into our life. So it's not like we're just, having all the cake and ice cream. It's been a transition, and it's been a beautiful transition. I am so glad to have had you on the podcast today.
That was fun.
And everything that you've shared. I really like the way that this whole entire conversation just shooting from the hip. There was absolutely no script, not even anything written on the paper. This was all a spontaneous conversation, and I just hope, I'm talking to the listeners directly right now, I hope that you heard something in our conversation that would truly encourage you and help you find peace in a time that the earth is groaning. The earth is groaning for a Messiah. And he's there. He kicks down the doors to come after us. According to some of these worship leaders that are out there singing some of the most awesome songs.
Yeah.
He pursues us. He loves us that much. And I don't want to elaborate too much on that, because I think I want to end right where you did, leading us in that prayer. Thank you so much tonight, today, actually, for being on the podcast. And I would love for you to return. I'm just excited that we're able to see each other and get to talk and share in this kind of environment. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. You bet. Okay, listeners, love you guys. Don't forget to subscribe.
To all of Message Vibrations podcast listeners, a sincere thank you for your donations and positive vibes. Make sure and subscribe, and tune in for our weekly episodes of Hour of Power and Hot Pockets.